from the desperate defense of the Pusan perimeter to the legendary dogfights over the Yalu River. This is the complete catalog of U.S. aviation during the Korean War. Let's start with the fighters and attack aircraft. F-51D Mustang, the legend returns. Redesignated from P-51 to F-51, this World War II icon was pulled from the National Guard to save Korea. While outclassed by jets in air combat, it was the supreme ground attack aircraft, carrying napalm and rockets low through the valleys where jets couldn't fly. F-82 Twin Mustang, the Double Trouble. The last mass-produced piston fighter. With 2 fuselages and radar, it was the first aircraft to score an air-to-air kill in the war, shooting down a North Korean Yak-11 in the opening hours. F-4U-4 Corsair, the Whistling Death. The Navy and Marines workhorse. Distinctive for its gull wings, it operated from carriers to provide arguably the best close air support of the war. It famously shot down a MiG-15 jet, proving that the prop era wasn't over yet. F-4U-5N Corsair, the Night Stalker, a specialized night fighter version of the Corsair fitted with a radar pod on the wing. It hunted North Korean Bedcheck Charlie biplanes that harassed UN troops after dark. AU-1 Corsair, the Ground Pounder, a variant of the Corsair developed specifically for the Korean War. It stripped away high-altitude gear to carry extra armor and massive bomb loads for low-level attacks for the Marines. AD-2 Skyraider, the Flying Dump Truck. Known then as the AD Skyraider, a massive single-engine plane capable of carrying more ordnance than a B-17 bomber. It could loiter over the battlefield for hours, punishing enemy supply lines. AD-4 Skyraider, the Upgraded Beast. The definitive Korean War version of the Skyraider with a more powerful engine and extra cannons. It was the only plane capable of destroying the heavily defended Wachan Dam using torpedoes. F-7F Tigercat, the Heavy Cat. A beautiful twin-engine heavy fighter used by the Marines. Too fast for escort duty, it was used extensively as a night fighter and intruder, intercepting enemy planes before they could reach the fleet. F-8F Bearcat, the Hot Rod. Although mostly withdrawn from frontline service, small numbers were used by reserve units and for fleet defense in the early days of the conflict before being replaced by jets. F-6F Hellcat, the Guided Missile. In a bizarre twist, obsolete Hellcats were loaded with explosives and turned into remote-controlled drones to destroy heavily defended bridges in North Korea. P-80 Shooting Star, the Pioneer, the first U.S. jet to see combat. It claimed the first-ever jet-versus-jet victory against a MiG-15. However, its straight wings made it too slow for dogfighting, and it quickly transitioned to a ground attack role. F-84 Thunderjet, the Sledgehammer. While the Sabres fought the MiGs, the Thunderjets destroyed the ground targets. It was rugged, heavily armed, and responsible for the destruction of North Korea's dams and railways. F-86 Sabre, the first Challenger. The early version of the Sabre that rushed to Korea to stop the MiG-15. It suffered from gun jamming and engine issues but held the line until better models arrived. F-86 Sabre, the Dogfighter. This version introduced the all-flying tail, giving pilots incredible control at high speeds. It allowed American pilots to outturn the MiG-15 in the high-G turning fights of MiG Alley. F-86 Sabre, the Definitive Hunter. The ultimate Korean War Sabre. With a more powerful engine and a new 6-3 hard wing, it matched the MiG-15's altitude performance and secured U.S. air dominance for the rest of the war. F-9F-2 Panther, the Navy's debut. Famous for its durability and blue paint, it was the primary carrier-based jet of the war. While not as fast as the MiGs, it was a stable gun platform, famously flown by future astronaut Neil Armstrong. F-9F-5 Panther, the Upgrade. A more powerful version of the Panther. It became the backbone of the Navy's strike force, pounding inland targets and bridges while enduring heavy anti-aircraft fire. F-9F-6 Cougar, the Swept-Wing Answer. The Navy's response to the MiG. Essentially a swept-wing Panther, it arrived in the final months of the war and flew combat patrols, though it saw little action before the armistice. F-2H-2 Banshee, the High Climber. A twin-engine carrier fighter that offered better performance than the Panther. It operated at high altitudes, escorting B-29s and conducting reconnaissance missions deep into enemy territory. F-3D Sky Knight, the Night Fighter. Willie the Whale. Ungainly and wide, it carried a massive radar system. It owned the night skies, scoring more kills against enemy aircraft after dark than any other type. F-94 Starfire, the Interceptor, the first U.S. jet with an afterburner. Arriving late in the war, it was used to protect airbases and intercept night intruders, using its speed to catch what others couldn't. Now, the bombers and patrol aircraft. B-26 Invader, the Night Intruder, a fast, twin-engine light bomber from World War II. It roamed the North Korean supply routes at night, hunting trucks and trains with its nose-mounted machine guns. B-29 Superfortress, the Heavy Hitter, the atomic bomber of World War II, returned for one last fight. It flattened North Korean industry. However, it was vulnerable to MiG jets, forcing it to switch to night bombing raids. B-45 Tornado, the jet bomber, the first operational jet bomber of the U.S. Air Force. While it saw limited bombing action, it was crucial for high-speed reconnaissance, mapping the peninsula for the UN forces. RB-50 Superfortress, the Spy, an upgraded version of the B-29 used for strategic reconnaissance. These aircraft flew dangerous missions along the Soviet border, often being engaged by Soviet MiGs. PB-4Y-2 Privateer, the Sea Sentry, a stretched version of the B-24 Liberator. The Navy used it for long-range maritime patrol and Firefly missions, dropping flares to illuminate targets for night attack aircraft. P-2V Neptune, the Hunter, a modern maritime patrol aircraft. It was used to mine North Korean harbors and disrupt coastal shipping, ensuring the naval blockade remained unbreakable. PBM Mariner, the Flying Boat, a massive amphibian used for search and rescue and anti-shipping patrols. It could land in the open ocean to retrieve downed pilots or support special operations teams. P-5M Marlin, the Successor. Arriving late in the war, this advanced flying boat began replacing the Mariner, featuring a better hull design and radar for long-endurance patrols over the Yellow Sea. C-16 Albatross, the Angel of the Sea, a rugged amphibious aircraft designed specifically for search and rescue. It saved hundreds of pilots from the freezing waters of the Sea of Japan, often landing under enemy coastal fire. SB-17 Flying Fortress, the Rescue Fort. Old B-17 bombers converted into search and rescue aircraft. They carried a heavy lifeboat underneath their belly that could be dropped by parachute to stranded aircrews. Next, the transports and liaison. C-47 Skytrain, the Goonie Bird, the Eternal Transport. It flew supplies in and wounded out, landing on short, rough dirt strips that no other plane could handle. C-46 Commando, the Hauler, larger and more powerful than the C-47. It carried the bulk of the heavy cargo over the mountains of Korea, despite being known for its temperamental engines. C-54 Skymaster, the Airlifter, the four-engine backbone of the Trans-Pacific Airlift. It ferried critical personnel and high-priority cargo from Japan and the U.S. to the Korean theater. C-119 Flying Boxcar, the Logistical Savior. With its twin-boom tail and clamshell doors, it could drop bridges, jeeps, and massive amounts of ammo to surrounded troops, most notably saving the Marines at the chosen reservoir. C-124 Globemaster II, the Giant. Old Shaky, it entered service during the war, capable of carrying tanks and heavy artillery directly into the theater, revolutionizing strategic airlift. C-121 Constellation, the VIP, a military version of the famous airliner. It was used for medical evacuation and as the personal transport for General MacArthur and other high-ranking commanders. C-97 Stratofreighter, the Fat Brother. Based on the B-29 airframe, this double-decker transport began flying heavy cargo runs late in the war, foreshadowing the massive airlifters of the future. LT-6G Mosquito, the Forward Controller, a T-6 Texan trainer modified for combat. These brave pilots flew low and slow to mark targets with smoke rockets for the fighter bombers, often drawing heavy ground fire. T-33 Shooting Star, the Jet Trainer, a two-seat version of the P-80. It was used for reconnaissance and to train pilots in theater on the nuances of jet warfare before they stepped into a Sabre. L-4 Grasshopper, the Spotter, a fabric-covered Piper Cub. It was used for artillery spotting and short-range liaison, operating from roads and rice paddies. L-5 Sentinel, the Flying Jeep. Faster and more robust than the L-4, it was used to evacuate wounded soldiers from the very front lines and deliver urgent messages to commanders. L-19 Bird Dog, the Modern Spotter, an all-metal aircraft that replaced the L-4 and L-5. It offered better visibility and performance, directing airstrikes with pinpoint accuracy. L-20 Beaver, the bush plane, a rugged utility aircraft capable of short takeoff and landing. It was used to ferry generals and supplies to the most inaccessible mountain outposts. Finally, the helicopters. H-5 Dragonfly the Rescuer, one of the first helicopters used in combat. It was fragile and limited, but it proved the concept of search and rescue, plucking down pilots from behind enemy lines. H-13 Sioux the Angel of Mercy, the iconic bubble helicopter made famous by MAS*H. It pioneered the medevac role, carrying wounded soldiers on external skids to field hospitals. HO-3S1 the Navy Workhorse, a Sikorsky S-51 used by the Navy and Marines for plane guard duties on carriers and rescuing pilots who ditched in the sea. H-19 Chickasaw the Heavy Lifter. Arriving later in the war, it was the first true transport helicopter, capable of carrying troops into battle and resupplying positions on mountain peaks. H-23 Raven the Competitor. Similar to the H-13, this light helicopter was used by the Army for training and medical evacuation, helping to refine the doctrine of vertical envelopment. HUP Retriever the Carrier Guard, a twin-rotor utility helicopter used by the Navy. Its compact design allowed it to operate easily from the crowded decks of aircraft carriers. From the roar of the Corsair's engine to the whine of the Sabre's jet, the Korean War was the crucible where the United States Air Force came of age. Which of these is the true icon of Korea? Let me know in the comments.